I love great conversations. Hi, my name is Angel Jones. Thank you for joining me on 12-Minute Convos, where I help you create a brand of your own unique real self. Listen in as I have conversations with amazing people from all over the world. Good day, Oscar Junker. How are you doing on this wonderful, beautiful day?
I'm really good, thank you.
It's a great
How about
pleasure.
you?
I'm good. Angel feels really good today.
That's great.
Well,
That's good to hear.
what part of the world are you in right now?
I'm in Copenhagen, Denmark.
Ooh. And which of your talents is responsible for us connecting at this time?
I assume it's because I run my own podcast.
Yeah, podcaster family podcaster. Who did you learn the skills of podcasting from?
I guess that's self-taught. I'm part of a small startup in Denmark, and I wanted to do something kind of related to the startup, but still different. So I just started recording myself speaking, and now I have a couple of guests on, and I release 3 episodes a week, and it's just all self-taught.
That's amazing. How amazing is that? Now tell us the name of the podcast, Oscar.
So the podcast is called Curling Comeback, which might sound really weird if you're not from Denmark, because it's a Danish podcast in Danish.
Yeah. I attempted to listen to it, but for some reason I couldn't understand some of the things.
Yeah, it is a weird language.
So how has the podcast impacted your life?
It's had a lot of different impacts. I only started a little over a month ago. And right now it's taking up a lot of my time. I'm talking to a lot of interesting people that I wouldn't have talked to otherwise. That's probably a big part of it. I'm doing a partnership with an app in Denmark where they are creating alarm clocks, and they have people. I'm creating like an alarm clock so people can be woken up by like Danish tech news every morning. I'm getting invited to do some presentation different places. It's pretty cool.
That's
a lot
amazing.
of things happening.
Wow, well, that's amazing. Well, who did you learn the skill of entrepreneurship from?
Oh, that's probably from. So the startup I'm in right now is I actually didn't. I wasn't one of the original founders. I got in about a year ago, right before we got our first investment. So right now I'm mostly in charge of like the product and having the customers use the product, and managing a lot of people in the development, and a lot of handling a lot of sales stuff. But I'm also doing some other projects on the side, which are a bit more entrepreneurial, as you could say. And I guess I kind of just have that gene that I just really want to do stuff all the time. I'm never bored. I'm always doing something. I'm never like, I don't play video games. I don't watch television. I don't watch Netflix. I'm just always doing something.
That's amazing. Why will you continue to repeat the skills of entrepreneurship? Ooh, they are the challenges sometimes. So why will you continue nevertheless?
I guess for me, it's just there's no other choice. It's just I can just not do it. Like there's no way that I would not be part of an exciting startup, so creating my own projects or hosting podcasts or doing all this stuff myself. That's just a part of who I am, and that's just something I've always done.
It's like breathing, isn't it?
Exactly, it's just like breathing.
Oh, love it. Well, do tell us one other thing that you've done, Oscar, consistently over the last 3 years.
Over the last 3 years, that's a really good question. Let me see. I am a very sporadic person, and I have a really hard time picking what I want to do, meaning I'm always doing 3 or 4 things at the same time. That's one of my big advantages, but it's also one of my big disadvantages. But the one thing that kind of stuck with me over the past 3 years is programming. Programming has gotten very far. I don't think if you ask me in another 3 years, I would still be very into programming. But about 3 years ago, I started doing Android apps as a side thing while I was in high school. And doing this led me to creating some exciting projects myself and landing my first job in a startup. That's where I kind of learned what the tech space was like, how it was working in a startup. Then I landed another development job, which got me into the company that I'm in now, and I've kind of been moving into a more management sales ish position, but still very tech oriented. And right now I'm still programming. I'm studying computer science at university. So programming is something that's always stuck with me and something I always like going back to. It's awesome.
You're doing a ton of things. How does it make you feel doing all of these things together?
That's a good question. I guess a little bit stressful sometimes. My girlfriend thinks I should make sure to chill a little bit, but it's for me it's a big part of the enjoyment is balancing all of these things. It's really exciting to have all these different things going on, because sometimes it's not as exciting as working at the startup I work at. Then I have the podcast. There's cool things happening there. Then if that's not going on, I always have some school projects I'm working on. If that's not keeping my interest, have this other project I'm working on with some of my friends from university, where we're working on this project together. Then that's a little bit exciting. So for me, there's always something exciting going on and something that can get my interest, and that's really something I need in my life.
Understood. How old are you right now?
I'm 19, but I'm turning 20 next month.
All right. Well, happy be early birthday. Why would you suggest to someone out there who definitely can't stick with one thing, why they should do just like what you're doing by juggling multiple things?
I think sometimes in the beginning you should stick with one thing, but as soon as something piques your interest, just dive into it. But for example, if you have a job during the day, then you start doing this other thing at night, and you do this other thing in the weekends, and you do this other thing, so you kind of always fill all of your time out. I think it's honestly just a time thing. If you really look at your day, and you think, okay, I'm actually spending, I have 4 hours here where I'm not really doing anything productive. I'm just kind of surfing the internet or watching Netflix or whatever. Then just take any project. It doesn't matter what it is. It can be anything. It can be learn how to program. It can be launch your own e-commerce business. It can be start a podcast, start a blog, and then just dive into this and get really good at it. And you just keep doing all of these things and hitting and just trying as hard as you can. And eventually some of these things you're going to try, they're kind of going to come through, and you're kind of going to be a little bit successful with them. You're going to get new opportunities, and that's kind of how you build on this. And you just repeat this until you die. And either you're happy and rich or whatever you want to be, or you failed. But there's only one way of trying, and that's just doing it.
Amazing audience. You're hearing it live here from Oscar Junker. Oscar, tell us the name of your podcast one more time for those that may be listening to Danish podcast and want to grab on to what you offer.
Definitely. It's called Curling Comeback. You can check me out on facebook.com/curlingcomeback, curlingcomeback.dk, or curlingcomeback.com. It will lead you to the same website. It's about my generation, how the curling generation in Denmark is making a comeback, by how we are really the coolest generation yet, and how we're using technology and all of these exciting things to make the world a better place.
I love it. Oscar, let's switch gears for a moment now. Let me invite you into my time machine that is surrounded with beautiful, warm, blue Caribbean water. Oscar, what is your earliest childhood memory?
Oh, good question. I think New Year's Eve 2000. I was born in 1998, so I was about 2 years old at this point, which is very early. I remember all of the rockets firing off and me crying.
Wow.
That's my first childhood memory.
How do you see that memory connecting to who you are today?
I guess it's that's a really good question. I think for me, it's just that this is a big deal. I used to live I've grown up in Copenhagen. I've lived here for all of my life. This was in Copenhagen. New Year's Eve is always really nuts in Copenhagen. So I guess for me, it's that I've always been afraid of a lot of things, actually. I'm still kind of afraid of heights. I'm still kind of afraid of taking elevators, but I'm always doing a bunch of things and challenging the fears I have, and always trying to develop in new ways and not letting anything hold me back.
Can I offer an interpretation to the thought picture you created in my mind with that memory?
Please do.
I love the idea of Oscar, the guy who is always doing something, more than one thing, understanding that come together when everything explodes. It's going to be beautiful. It's going to be like fireworks.
That's beautiful. Yeah, that's a great. I like that interpretation a lot. That's a lot better than my own one. Very good. Thank you so much. That's very beautiful.
You're welcome. If we fast forwarded to when you were 12, what was your favorite song?
Oh, my favorite song was when I was 12. I think that would be something along the lines of some electronic music like deadmau or something. Dubstep. I loved that when I was younger.
All right, my friend. Well, we've arrived at our destination, but before we get off of this time machine, there's a small declaration form. So it's yes or no, possibly a bit more. We're going to move pretty quickly here. Are you ready, Oscar?
I am ready.
Oscar, have you chosen someone to pass on your skills to?
A little bit. I'm passing on a lot of stuff to my girlfriend, and then through a lot of people through the podcast that I meet. But I could definitely always talk to you. So possibly. Sorry.
All right. Now, you said you have a girlfriend, so you're not married just yet. Do you have children?
I do not know.
Do you believe in God?
No.
Do you have an inner circle of friends?
Yes.
Do you watch TV for more than 3 hours a day?
Absolutely not. Not even 10 minutes.
Wow. What about screen time, the phone and the computer? Is it more than 8 or less than 8 hours a day?
It's more than 8.
If you, Oscar, had to share with us your own unique real statement, a statement that represents who Oscar Jonker is, what would you say that is?
Never stop trying.
Oscar Jonker, this has been a great pleasure. Before you leave, is there anything else you'd like to share with our amazing audience?
To anybody that's listening that has something that they're wanting to do and they're wanting to try out, then I think it's important to realize that I know this sounds really cheesy and maybe a little bit bad, but you really genuinely only have one chance at doing a lot of things. You really only live once. You are going to die one day. So if you're spending any kind of time doing stuff you don't like, you should really just, I think, at least spend a couple of years just trying whatever the you want. That might be becoming a professional basketball player, that was in Danish, and trying that out for 2 years. And if it fails, you can go back to your normal life. You really have nothing to lose. The worst case that can happen is that it will become normal. You always try out whatever crazy idea you have.
Well, there we go. Oscar Jonker, again, this has been a great pleasure. Thank you for being on What
Pleasure's
is
all mine.
Inspired by 12-Minute Convos with Angel Jones.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you for being on 12-Minute Convos with Angel Jones. Stay tuned for more from our advertisers.
Diabetes is a mountain pandemic. It's a disease that's not acute but chronic. Similar to this rhyming method, I have simplified the definition, the signs and symptoms, and the complications of diabetes for both adults and children in my books, Poems for Patients, A Focus on Diabetes, and The ABCs of Diabetes for Children. These books are available on Amazon.com, and for more information, you can visit my website, poemsbyaj.com. That's poemsbyaj.com.